Welcome to Mac Stories Unwind, the show that's all about the picks. I'm John Voorhees, and with me is my special guest, Mr. Alex Guillot, who's becoming a regular special guest. How are you doing, Alex?
Hey, John. I'm doing great. How are you this week?
I'm doing all right. So we are heading, Alex, into what is probably the busiest season for Mac Stories with all the annual reviews coming out. You know, you're doing WatchOS. Federico, of course, is doing his well-known iOS and iPadOS review, which is going to be split in two this year. And I've got macOS Ventura coming up. Plus, we've got hardware events and all sorts of other things happening. So I thought, you know what? I ought to share a couple of things that I use to unwind when I'm feeling the pressure of a lot of stuff to do. And so what I like to do, one of the things I like to do, I've got many ways to cope with this sort of situation, but one is to play video games. And not just any video game, but a particular kind of video game. And I've got two picks today that are very closely related that I think people might like if they're feeling a little stressed out maybe. It's a great way to, as the show's called, unwind for the weekend. So the first game is called Townscaper, and this is a game that you can find virtually anywhere. I mean, it's on all the major consoles. It's on desktop PCs. It's on iOS. I believe it's on Android too. It's all over the place. And it's not so much a game as it is a digital toy. It's very simple. I've been playing on my iPad mini because this is something that we're going to talk about a little bit in the App Stories Plus pre-show for next week, which is I've got this gizmo that Federico actually discovered on Etsy that allows me to put my iPad mini into a clamp, very much like the old Game Vice of the old days, and then slot in Nintendo Joy-Cons on the side.
What?
So, yes. So that's how I'm playing this game, with Joy-Cons and this setup with my iPad mini. And the reason I like the iPad mini for this is because this is such a beautiful game. It's really about the visuals and the soundscape and everything. And the visuals just come across really well on the somewhat larger screen of an iPad mini as compared to a phone. Now, obviously on the iPhone, you've got the OLED screen if you've got the iPhone 13 Pro Max like I do. But even despite the fact that that is an OLED super fast and smooth display, I still kind of like the iPad mini's display for this just because it's bigger. So this game lets you drop tiles into the ocean. So these are, just creating little bits of land in a seascape.
Huh.
And on that land, you can build houses. And you click once or tap once and you drop a tile for some land. Tap on it again and a house is there. And along the left sidebar, you've got colors. So you can have all sorts of brightly colored houses. The houses you can build on top of the houses too. So a smaller house becomes a bigger house. And so you can kind of see where this is going. What you end up doing is building out this kind of archipelago of islands of little seaside homes. And some of them you might, put up on stilts and they'll be really tall. Other ones might be just little houses and you'll leave a little free land on the side where a little garden starts to grow. It's really just a matter. All it is building. There's no scoring. There are no levels. There's no winning or losing in this game. It's just one of those things that's a little bit like sitting down and building a Lego set or something. I mean, the relaxation is in the building process and the creativity of creating this town itself. And it's really nice, as you can imagine, since I'm playing the Joy-Cons, it supports controllers, which I just find it's just kind of a very nice way to move around the landscape because you've got the sticks to kind of rotate and place and position where you're going to place the tiles, and then you've got the triggers to zoom in and out, which just makes very quickly, it's not like it's hard control, gameplay controls. It's very easy to get the mechanics down quickly and then start building. So, it's a lot of fun. I guess the other thing about it is it has a really nice soundscape as well that just kind of lends itself to chilling out. So that's the first game. Again,
Nice.
that's available just about everywhere where you can look. And
That sounds great.
yeah, the prices vary in different places. It's been out for a while, but the prices vary depending on the platform, but it's not an expensive game. The other one is called, and I'm going to try to pronounce this correct. It's called Dorf Romantic. Dorf Romantic is a little bit like this. It's a Windows game that is available on Steam and GOG, and I've been playing it on my INEO, and I really like this game. It's a little more competitive in that it really does have, it does have components and mechanics of strategy and scoring, because what it does is it gives you a set of tiles that's a dwindling set of tiles that you have to place on a map. And so whereas Townscaper is just about building the homes on the land that you put in the ocean, this is about building a countryside. So you've got tiles that are, rivers, and others that are more predominantly trees, and other ones that have little houses on them. And then you've got train tracks, and you have to connect these all in a way that there are rules about what makes sense in terms of, for instance, the river tiles have to connect to other river tiles so that your river actually flows somewhere. Same goes for your train tracks. It's a lot more forgiving when you're talking about the countryside and where the houses and things go. But by kind of matching up things the way the game wants you to, your score goes up. And if you meet certain challenges in terms of where you lay the tiles and what you accomplish in doing that, you get more tiles. And then your cityscape and your countryside can grow even larger, which gives it a kind of an element of a puzzle game as well. It's actually a game that's pretty fun to play without even paying attention to the rules, though, because there are enough tiles that you can just sit down and play for 15 minutes and build something kind of cool looking and not worry what your score is, which I kind of like that aspect of it as well. So, and there are a couple of modes. There's a hard mode where the quests are just more challenging and it's harder to get more tiles, and a quick mode where there's just a set number of tiles and your job is to do get the best score you can with the 75 tiles that they give you. So that's kind of fun if you just want to do it in short spurts. But yeah, it's a little bit different than Townscaper in that it does have a scoring component to it, and it is unfortunately only on Windows right now. But I really could see this coming to mobile at some point. I think the game came out either last month or maybe in June. So it's not been out all that long, and I think it's done fairly well on Steam. And so I could see it coming to iOS at some point, or Android and other mobile platforms like the Switch even, I think would be another good platform for it.
Yeah, this looks like it'd be great on the Switch.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
It's nice that both of these have kind of similar. They look a little similar, but they both have kind of really nice little unique art design tweaks between them. They both look really, really fun and relaxing. I think these seem like great for the job that you're using them for.
Yes, these are my just sit down and relax games to get myself lost kind of in the process of building. Townscaper's art I really particularly like. It's very much an illustration style look to it. Dorf Romantic is a little bit similar, but it's more of I guess it's a little bit more isometric, and it's a little further away. You're kind of pulled back from the landscape a little bit more. But it too is just a really nice art design to it. It was created by, I think, 3 Berlin-based game designers who got together and wanted to create a game that was as much about the design as it was about creating, a game with game mechanics and challenges. So I think it does a really good job in that respect.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I'll have to check these out. At least Townscaper looks great. I feel like that'd be a fun one to pick up on the just on the phone or on the, like you used the iPad in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, hopefully Dorf will come to more platforms soon.
Yeah, definitely. I could see Townscaper being one of those that comes with Game Pass or something at some point on the Xbox, but I don't believe it's on there right now. And I forget when I bought this. I bought it quite a while ago on iOS, and it's only been recently that I've really kind of gotten into it.
Sure. Is Townscaper on the Switch yet?
Yes, it is.
Nice.
It's on the Switch, the Xbox, both PlayStation 4 and 5, So it's pretty much everywhere that every
Yeah.
major platform at this point. But what do you have for us today, Alex?
All right. So my pick for the day or for the week is Parenthood, which is the 2010 TV series,
All right.
which I watched many years ago when it was first coming out. My family and I used to watch it back in high school. And so this show, I've always really liked it. It's always kind of been a show that I remember from growing up a little bit. And then recently I decided to rewatch it. And so my fiance and I have been rewatching it over the last couple months here. I think there's 6 seasons. It's a show by Jason Katims, I think is how you pronounce that. And he's the same developer of Friday Night Lights, which is kind of in a similar vein. And there's a lot of cast members from Friday Night Lights who also show up in Parenthood. They even actually have a really fun just crossover episode where like the Friday Night Lights gang rolls up into the town that Parenthood is set in, and they do a whole little episode together, which was fun if you've watched both of those. But Parenthood itself is true to the name. It is a show about kind of a family, and it's Craig T. Nelson and Bonnie Bedelia are the two parents of the original 4 children, and then those 4 children all had kids of their own. And so it's this pretty large family. They all live in kind of the same town near San Francisco, somewhere in the Bay Area. And yeah, I mean, it's just it's a very nice, relaxing show about all these family dynamics that they go through. And, it has Peter Krause and Lauren Graham and Dax Shepard in it, as well as Mae Whitman. And then, Craig T. Nelson, Bonnie Bedelia, and just a bunch of other cast members. It's a real just kind of ensemble cast here that comes together. And I really, really like this show. It relaxes me, and it's not, the stakes are generally not too high in anything. It goes back and forth and being a little over dramatic, as many of these shows do. But for the most part, I feel like they hit a pretty decent level of drama that's not too over the top. And they usually kind of bring it back down and have a nice family dinner at the end of a high drama period where you're just like, okay, everything's good, everyone's happy, this is nice.
Kind of resolves itself by the end of the episode type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just a fun show. It makes me happy, and I think people would probably enjoy it.
All right, yeah, it looks like it was out for about 6 seasons total.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it really ranges from. It looks like that first and last seasons were pretty short, but then they have some 22 episode seasons. So there's a fair amount going on there.
Yeah, some of the middle ones are real long, but yeah, it's nice.
Where was this shown originally? What network?
Yeah, I can't quite remember because I was so young when that was happening. Let's see. It was NBC is where it aired on originally. Which I also do have a tip, because this show is currently available on both Hulu and on Peacock. But if you watch it on Peacock, it has the international theme song, which was "When We Were Young" by Lucy Schwartz, and that does not quite fit the vibe that the original theme song "Forever Young" by Bob Dylan is. And Hulu has Forever Young. And for me, rewatching this show, because we started rewatching it on Peacock at first, and I was so annoyed that the theme song that I remember from my childhood, this Bob Dylan coming out and singing Forever Young, was not a part of it. And it really is it fits perfectly in every time the theme song plays after the opening. It's really nice. And so if you watch on Hulu, you can get the show as it was originally intended to be with Bob Dylan's Forever Young playing.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I see it's actually set in Berkeley, California, which
Berkeley, okay.
yeah, I've spent some time in Berkeley, I must say. It's a very nice city and
Yes.
just north of the bay there. Yeah, that sounds really cool. So you've got basically the parents and four sets of kids, and so I assume that they're all the parents are kind of at the so they're at grandparent age, and they've
Yes.
got their own things going on while they've got the kids who have their own families and that sort of thing, huh?
Yes, exactly. And then you know, among the four kids, you have the all the ranges from the two of them already have a family. You know, they have a spouse and some kids that they're raising, and so there's whole areas of the show about that. And then the other two are kind of the more of the ne'er-do-well siblings who are trying to figure their crap out. And so there's it's just kind of it hits all kinds of the family dynamics all over the place.
Sure.
And it's very wide ranging, and I think the show is really well done. And yeah, it's just kind of it's very nice to watch.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's the kind of show that I think. Well, I know I've never watched it, and so I obviously missed it the first time around. I'm not as much of a like family drama type of watcher myself, but this one does sound pretty good, and I believe Jennifer might have watched this one. It sounds like one of the ones
Okay, yeah.
she would have watched. So I may have to. I don't know. I may have to actually check this out myself at some
Yeah,
point.
I'm not usually too big into these kind of dramas either, but it's a nice break sometimes from our usual fare. I was watching was it Surface that you recommended the other week. I've been watching as well. House of the Dragon just came out, and it's nice sometimes to just step back from all of these pretty harder core shows and just relax and watch some Parenthood.
Perfect. Sounds great. All right, let me give everybody a little bit of a teaser about what's coming up in the coming weeks on Mac Stories. As everyone knows by now, we have a September 7th Apple event. That is expected to be the event that shows off both the new iPhones as well as the Apple Watch. We'll be covering that, of course, on Mac Stories. Alex, Federico, and I will all be pitching in for that. And we'll have some special stuff for club members, too, that day, the day of the 7th. So kind of keep an eye out on the club Discord and the newsletters to see what we'll be doing for that. I expect, given the fact that iPadOS has been officially by Apple through a statement to TechCrunch, moved to after iOS, that if we're going to get iPads and if we're going to get new Macs, we're likely to get them, as I think Mark Gurman has reported, in October or even early November. So I think that we'll undoubtedly have a second event this fall. We'll, of course, be covering that wall-to-wall as well and have other special club events surrounding that, as well as all of our reviews, which will be out as soon as the public versions of the OSs are out. So Alex is covering watchOS. Federico will have iOS to start with. We're anticipating that those will both be released probably the week after the September 7th event. Let's hope that Apple doesn't do a "it's coming tomorrow" thing like they did a couple of years ago. I'm really hoping that's not the case, but I do expect it to be sometime between the 12th and the 14th. And then once iPadOS comes out, maybe in October, Federico's iPadOS review will be out as a separate review. And eventually we'll get around to macOS Ventura, which I'm working on, but it's only now that the macOS betas are starting to tighten up a little bit. I was getting a little concerned there because we got another round of betas for iOS and iPadOS and watchOS, but we got nothing from the Mac for a while. But yesterday, as Alex and I record this, we got a macOS Ventura update to the beta, and it's actually a lot of the things that were driving me a little bit nuts have been fixed. There's still a ways to go.
Any improvements to settings?
Not so much for those. Those are still a work in progress. But it's more like things like sending mail on a delayed basis actually works when your Mac's asleep now.
Oh, excellent.
Things like that, and lots of little things. But there remain a pretty long list of other little things. But that's just the way it is with betas, and they've got a little more. Apple's got a little more time to take care of that. All right. Thanks again for joining me, Alex, for another episode of Mac Stories Unwind. Where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at _Alex Guillot. That's Guyot. and on Instagram at AJGio.
All right, great. And I'm at John Voorhees on both Twitter and Instagram. That's JOHNVWRHWS. Talk to you soon, Alex.
See you, John.